Chapter 7 of prototyping. So for the HCI, the human computer interaction, okay, we will look into the prototyping. So the prototyping is actually quite an important topic for us, okay, especially in the designing the product. Okay, so this one quite long. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, for the I think I try to finish the lecture around maybe around 60 or maybe 90 minutes. Okay, and then the rest itu, okay, the rest of the time, okay, hopefully I can finish the lecture in less than 90 minutes actually, because in the second hour for today's session I want to discuss with you all regarding to the practical session on Friday, because I want to have some discussion regarding the topic for the practical. Okay, I think we need to discuss it earlier so that you can prepare for the practical session on Friday. So let me see later, because this one, the slide is around 44 slide. So let's go to the prototyping. So what is prototyping? Before we go inside to the details of the prototyping, I have one. Let me see if you all can see the screen actually. Okay, if you go to the internet, okay, you can go to the Google, okay, if you are using computer right now, okay, and then you can type prototyping. Okay, there are a lot of definition of the prototyping actually. Okay, prototype, okay, and then some of the professors say that actually the prototyping is the experimental, it's a process actually where the design teams implement idea, okay, into tangible form, actually, okay, from the paper to digital, okay, from the paper to the physical, okay. Some of the idea, okay, maybe it's digital, and some of the product may be physical. Okay, so usually it will be from the paper. Okay, and then from the scratch, okay, they are doing to gather some idea. So until there is a process of pre-designing the product actually. Okay, team build prototypes of a varying degree of fidelity to capture the design concept, and actually we will test the product, okay, not the final product, okay, but the early product, okay, and test it on the user. Okay, with prototypes, okay, actually we can refine and validate our design, okay, so that our design or our brand, okay, can release the right product and can be accepted to the customer. Okay, that is the main goal. Okay, that why we need the prototype. Okay, why we have the prototyping. Okay, they slow us down to speed us up. Okay, by taking the time to prototype our idea, we avoid costly mistakes such as becoming too complex too early and sticking with a weak idea for too long. Okay, this is from Tim Brown, CEO and President of IDEO. Okay, let me share with you all the quotes. A very fantastic quote actually. Maybe I can share with you all in here. Okay. So this is the quote actually from Tim Brown. Okay. So Tim Brown said, they slow us down to speed us up. By taking the time to prototype our ideas, we avoid costly mistakes such as becoming too complex too early and sticking with the weak idea for too long. This is the thing that we want to get rid actually. Okay, because without the prototype, okay, without the prototype of the product, for example, okay, we might uh, stick with the idea, okay, for too long. Okay, we don't know that if the idea is good or the idea may be so weak. Okay, okay, without the prototype, okay, we cannot move forward. Okay, and then to see if the product, okay, if the product have a brighter features or not. Okay, this is what we need to do with prototype. And then prototype is actually uh, there are many reasons why we need the prototyping. Okay, in the design thinking, okay, prototyping is in the fourth phase actually. Okay, and in the UX design, okay, you know that the UX, the experience design, is actually a part, the essential part, okay, usually come after the idea. Okay, you have the idea, and then before you want to have the final product, usually after you get the idea, okay, you will try to do some prototype product. Okay, you may the prototype product may be in the scratch, okay, maybe in your sketch, okay, maybe in your paper, okay, or maybe in your software. Okay, you do from the application like painting software. Okay, and then you do the scratch. Okay, this is the early phase that we call under the prototype. Okay, there are many advantages of prototyping actually. uh, some of the advantages of using the prototype is you will have a solid foundation from which to idea towards the improvement. Okay, it means we will give, okay, all the stakeholder a clear picture of the potential benefit, okay, maybe the risk and the cost associated with where, okay, the prototype might lead. Okay, we give the early expectation to our stakeholder. Okay, if now we have the, we take some example, okay, in real life. Okay, I think you all know about the Proton, okay, our national car. Now we have before this, okay, before have the cooperation with China manufacturer, okay, which is the Geely company. Okay, we have the standard one. Okay, after Geely get the cooperation with Proton, now we have the Proton X70. Okay, the latest one is X50. Okay, now what is the relation with the prototyping actually? Okay, if you go to the Geely website, okay, actually they will share you the earlier prototype of the Proton X70, okay, and then also the X50, uh, the car that Proton makes, I think around 2019 to 2020. Okay, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, the earlier design is actually not acceptable by the Malaysian. And then after doing some prototype, after doing some redesign of the early product, and then they come out with the X70. Now with the latest one, they have the X50. Okay, if you look from the Apple manufacturer, okay, you look into the Apple brand. Okay, we have the iPhone 1, iPhone 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have the latest one, okay, 13. Okay, so this one is actually from the prototype. Okay, this is the early introduction to you all. So let's go to the slide. Okay, prototyping and the connection with the iterative design. Okay, iterative design overcome inherent problems of incomplete requirement. Okay, different types of prototype. We have different types of prototype actually. We have throwaway, we have incremental, we have evolutionary. Later we will see in the details each of the type of the prototypes. If you look in here, is actually the prototype, okay, where, okay, study user and task, okay, we will do analysis, and then we design the prototype, and then we will do the usability test, and then it's become the program. Okay, this is apart from the process. Okay, in we are doing the iterative design. Okay, and then you will see that in the iterative design, actually, we will have the prototype. Okay, and then by our practical session on Friday, we will do the usability test. Okay, you all will go and do the usability test, and then also the heuristic evaluation. Okay, that one I try to discuss with you all in the second hour of our session today. A prototype is actually is a primitive version of a system. Okay, maybe for the laptop. Okay, long time ago, the laptop is quite big and heavy, and then even though that we can carry the laptop to any way that we want, but it's actually in long time ago, it's quite hard for us to bring that one. Okay, because the technology at that time, okay, it's not yet so improved, okay, compared to our era, okay, in 2020, for example. Okay, this is the iterative design. Okay, actually start from the requirement specification. Okay, you just imagine that you have one product. Okay, for example, like maybe we give some simple example, simple product. Okay, maybe the product is flying car. Okay, kereta terbang, flying car, okay, which is quite familiar, quite famous in 2018, 2019 in Malaysia. Okay, we have the concept of kereta terbang or flying car. Okay, so we think about that one. Okay, first, before we go for the product, the flying car or the kereta terbang, okay, we must think about the requirement specification. Okay, we have the existing product which is near or maybe quite similar to the kereta terbang. For example, like the Proton one. Okay, maybe the the one that we always look into in the street. Okay, we have many brand car. So that one will be our sample of the specification. Okay, we can take and then compare the requirement specification. Okay, for the usual car. Okay, to compare with the flying car. Of course, there will be a different specification because the one is kereta terbang, and then yeah, the existing one is the usual one that we look into the road. Okay, and then we have the architectural design. Okay, and then from the architectural design, we will have the detailed design. Okay, and then after the detailed design, you have the specific area for this button, for example. Okay, and then maybe for the next page of the website, okay, you will need some specification interface, for example. Okay, and then after we have the interface, we have the design. Okay, and then usually if this one is software, we will do the coding and testing. Okay, we will put, okay, the source code into the apps. Okay, and then we will do the testing, either that product, okay, that apps, okay, that software can be run or not. Okay, if cannot run, and then we can do the debugging process. Okay, there are a lot of process that including in the coding and unit testing. And then after that, okay, after the coding, we do some and then we will do the integration and testing. Okay, integration and testing. And then the last one, okay, usually it will become okay, uh, we can use already the product, and then after we can use the product, the apps for example, or maybe the software, and then there will be one process, okay, that what we call the operation and maintenance. Okay, if we I give you some example like antivirus. Okay, maybe we are developing a new antivirus. Okay, at the stage of operation and maintenance, usually at this stage, okay, we already expose the product to the user. Okay, and then we will maybe we can give them some free trial period. Okay, maybe 30 30 days. Okay, 30 days to try for the product, the antivirus. Okay, and then this is what we call the operation already. And then in the 30 days, maybe there will be some problem. Okay, and then the problem will be submitted to us. Usually, we will need the user feedback. Okay, and then from the user feedback, we will give them the chance, or we will advise them on to do the maintenance. Okay, and then actually under the integration and testing, okay, usually if the process is not yet complete to be fully expected, okay, to be expected to be fully operation, okay, it will go back to the requirement, or it will go back to the coding and unit testing. Maybe there is something wrong before it become the final product. Okay, and then sometimes it will go to the detailed design. Okay, we will see in which level or which area actually become the problem before the apps or the product become the final product. Okay, this is under the iterative design. And then, like in the first slide, second slide, sorry, we have a look into the prototyping stage. This one, okay, different types of prototypes. We have three actually. We have throwaway prototype. Okay, the first one, throwaway prototype. We have three that one. Okay, throwaway. This is the prototype is built and tested. Okay, the design knowledge again from this exercise is actually used to build the final product, but the actual prototype is discarded. Okay, usually this one will be do in the pharmaceutical. Okay, in the pharmacy. Okay, when they are doing some drug test, okay, the actual prototype, when they have the final product, they will discard the all medicine. Okay, or maybe we cannot say it the medicine because it's actually the prototype only. Why it's being discarded? Because it's not as safe as the final product. That's why we need to discard the prototype. Okay, usually this one happen in the pharmaceutical field. Okay, especially for the medicine. Okay, because we cannot use the prototype product as a final product. We must discard that one. Okay, this is the first types of the prototype, throwaway prototype. Okay, and then you can look from the diagram there. It's actually look from it starts from the sketch and then get some feedback, and then maybe you add some feature one, and then after that you get more feedback, and then you go for the feature two, and then get more feedback, you go for the feature three, and then become the prototype four. Okay, and then under the prototype four, okay, maybe you do stage three testing, for example, and then you need to add feature four, and then you can go to stage five. There are a lot of steps actually. Okay, until we can go for the final product. Okay, remember all the prototype in here, okay, will be discarded as it's not safe actually, okay, to use as the to use, okay, like the final product. Okay, that's why it's being discarded. And then we have the second one, incremental prototype. The final product is built as a separate component at one at a time. There is a one overall design for the final system, but it's actually is a partition into independent and a smaller component. Okay, the final product is then released as a series of product. Its subsequent release including one more component. Okay, this one if we take example like a phone. Okay, long time ago the phone we don't have the camera. Okay, and then when the times goes up and then the technology evolve. Okay, we have the at the back camera in our smartphone. Okay, now today's, okay, not only in the we have a camera at the back of our phone, we actually have the secondary camera at our smartphone. Okay, and then some of the sophisticated smartphone actually they will have the third camera. Okay, that one I think in the future maybe we will have a more sophisticated camera attached to the smartphone. Okay, this is actually a series of product, okay, that have been upgraded, okay, from the first stage of the product, okay, maybe version 1, no camera, okay, and then version 2, we have the camera at the back of the smartphone, and then the third version we have the camera, okay, in front of the phone, and then maybe level 4. Okay, we have, yes. Mm. All right, guys. I think we can continue again. Sorry for the interruption just now. So for the let me see the this is the second one, incremental prototype. So I just recall this one. Okay, this is something like our phone. Okay, where our phone a long time ago, we don't have any camera, and then become level one have the camera at the back, and then level two have a camera at the in front of the camera, smartphone. Sorry, and then now we have both of the camera. Okay, that we can use actually. Okay, so this is the example of the incremental prototype. And then we have this is the prototype one, prototype two, okay, prototype three, where every prototype from the early version, okay, like what I have mentioned just now, maybe the prototype is I call level one, level two, level three. Okay, the prototype maybe they have integration and then integration for that part. Okay, and then you must remember, okay, in incremental prototype is actually, okay, is a partition into independent and a smaller component. Means if we take the example of the smartphone or phone, okay, phone, okay, long time ago we don't have the camera, and then we attach the phone with the camera, and then you will see that at the last release we will have the final product with the smartphone. Okay, we have the at the back and in front of our smartphone, okay, the camera. Okay, each one representing a part of the future system, and then we combine them together. Okay, so the third one is evolutionary prototype. Okay, evolutionary prototype. Evolutionary prototype is not discarded and serve as the basis for the next iteration of design. Okay, in this case, the actual system is seen as evolving from a very lean initial version to its final release. Okay, this one we have seen a lot of example actually. Okay, if we look into the Formula One, for example, long time ago, okay, they don't have the aerodynamic tail at the back of the car, but now they have the aerodynamic tail in every of the Formula One car. This is actually the evolutionary prototype. Okay, from the simplest one, okay, and then go to the complex and sophisticated Formula One car. Okay, and then this is the process, okay, in the evolutionary prototype. Okay, we have the prototype, first prototype, and then we add some feature, and then the next generation we add another feature, feature two. Okay, and then the third generation, for example, we add another feature, which is feature three, for example, and then we have in the fifth generation, okay, we have the fourth feature, but maybe at that time, okay, the feature two is not more appropriate to use. Okay, it's not applicable anymore, so we can discard that one, and then usually that one, after we have some kind of the a time frame, okay, we will go for the final product. But usually the final product will become prototype again after a few years. Okay, usually this one is involving in the R&D process. Okay, review, okay, research and development program. Okay, usually they will do this one, and then the R&D usually always in the evolutionary prototype. Okay, because from the basic part we add some features, and then maybe after a few years we think that these features is not more it's not any more suitable, or maybe it's not acceptable anymore, so we discard that features and then we add a new features. Okay, this is what we call the evolutionary prototype. Okay, so this is a few example of the prototype. Okay, in the new technology, especially in the IR 4.0. Okay, I think you all always know about the IoT, Internet of Things. Okay, and then IoT, usually we will use the first picture in here, first image in here, and then the second image is about the building. Okay, we make it in this in the small scale size first. Okay, and then maybe we can show to the investor or maybe for the stakeholder, and then we have the car. Okay, for Malaysia, like what I have mentioned just now, we have the dream. Okay, for the flying car. Okay, kereta terbang. Okay, supposed to be in 2020. Okay, we should see actually officially the prototype of kereta terbang, but unfortunately there is a changing in the government, and then the idea of the kereta terbang or the flying car have been discarded. Okay, so we don't have the actually the chance, okay, to see, even to look into the prototype. Okay, so it's a part actually from the process, okay, on how we want to convince the government, okay, before they can approve for the kereta terbang, the flying car. Okay, they must have to see the prototype first. If that prototype is suitable, acceptable, or maybe can be can have a good feedback from the society, especially in Malaysia. Okay, and then in prototype in human computer interaction. Okay, it's actually there are a lot of a system actually. Okay, usually like phone. Okay, they will do some mock up. Okay, usually the mock up is something that we have the design. If you look into the first picture, okay, this is the phone actually, iPhone, but how we want to know if we want to add some features, or maybe we want to see if the design is actually appropriate with our palm, with our hand, with our screen. Okay, they will do in the scratch. Okay, they will do in the paper first. Okay, and then you can see from the second picture in here. Okay, maybe this is the system. Okay, home is the first page, or maybe the first tab, and then the second tab go to books. Okay, and then the third tabs maybe go for magazine, for example. Okay, so this is the prototype for the system. Okay, and then we have a video simulating the system. Okay, maybe this is from the storyboard. Okay, we have a few example of the picture, and then we insert it into the system. Okay, so that we can do the simulation. Okay, so this is the example of a prototype in human computer interaction. So once again, why we need a prototype? Okay, actually, the most critical one is we want to get the feedback, and then we want to do the evaluation before the release of the final product. Okay, I just read first the prototype in here. Okay, stakeholder can see, whole interact with the prototype. Team member can communicate effectively. You can test out idea for yourself. Okay, examining the structure of the design, prototype answer question, and a support designer in choosing between alternative. Okay, usually in prototype. Okay, if we want to do a changes. Okay, for example, okay, maybe if this one is not good. Okay, this part is not good from the prototype. Okay, we can easily do the changes. Okay, can adapt the changes earlier. Okay, before we go for the final product. Okay, usually in the final product we will need a commitment. Okay, we will invest a lot. So before we go for the big investment through the product, okay, usually in the prototype, okay, there must or maybe there will be some changes. Okay, so prototype can easily adapt to changes, and then we can show the prototype, okay, to your user, okay, to our user, so that they can give the feedback. Okay, maybe maybe from our point, okay, this is the best prototype, this is the best product already, but from the user actually we can get the point that the view that is actually from the user itself. Okay, maybe there is some element, maybe there is some variant. Okay, maybe the product need to be overhauled, for example. Okay, so this is the the reason that why we need the prototype. Okay, prototype can answer a question, support designer in choosing between alternative. Maybe the design, or maybe the prototype or the product is good in the winter only. Okay, winter station only. But when changed to the cold season, for example, it's not suitable anymore. So this is where we can think. Okay, maybe to get some of the different uh, different tasks, or maybe we can have a different option to the final product. Okay, or maybe from the prototype. And then we can look into the prototype. Okay, prototype again is a design technique where user can involve in testing design idea by using experimental, okay, incomplete design known as prototype. Okay, usually we call it is the early product, okay, or the incomplete product, okay, or maybe we call it the incomplete design. Okay, some example of prototype. Okay, we have the hand-drawn prototype. We have the tool-drawn prototype, screen prototype, and functional prototype. So let's look into the hand-drawn prototype. This one's quite easy. Okay, designer draw the screen by using paper or pencil. Okay, you can look from the example there. Okay, in here. Okay, usually this one maybe you want to develop some system, and then the system. Okay, this is actually usually you will get the hand-drawn prototype from the idea. Okay, when you think about something and then you want to develop some of the idea, so this is actually come up from your idea and then go to your prototype. First prototype, hand-drawn prototype. Okay, the user enter data, okay, by writing in the field with a pencil, and the user also use the pencil to click on button and menu. Usually this one you need to imagine. Okay, you need to imagine what happened next. Okay, you need to use your imagination, okay, in the hand-drawn prototype. Okay, because it's actually just a scratch in the paper. Okay, the designer reply on behalf of the computer by writing result on the screen. Okay, maybe you want to 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 the user, okay, to put their name at the top in here in the field, okay, like name in here, Andrew Bunting, and then address, phone, and stay. So the item below, okay, this one is actually the reply. So in hand drawn prototype, the designer will reply, okay, the maybe the question, okay, from the user. And then we have tool drawn prototype. Okay, this is more we not advanced, but quite better than the hand drawn prototype. The designer draw the screens on the computer using the same tool that will be used in the final product. Okay, the software that we always use in the tool drawn. Okay, for example, like Visual Basic. Okay, Microsoft Access, Paint. and then sometimes we can use the Photoshop. Okay, the designer prints the screen and use them in the same way as hand-drawn prototype. Okay, advantages when we use the tool draft is actually more or look more real than the hand-drawn prototype because we already have the uh, 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 image in here. Okay, you just need to 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 put or maybe to fill out the answer in here. Okay, everything is in handwriting, so not quite good because not if you look from here, this is more real actually. And then we have the screen prototype. Okay, for the screen prototype, okay, the screen are shown on the real computer screen, but they have little functionality. Okay, you can only enter some data into the field, but when you try to go for the button like service, okay, button for X night, it cannot it's not gonna have you the feedback or nothing happen when you click the service, for example. Okay, user may enter data into some of the fields, but when he push a button or select a menu item, nothing happen by itself. Okay, response can be simulated, okay, by using secret key to open and close specific windows. Okay, usually this one we will use another program, okay, or another page or another dialog box, or maybe we can put the simplest one, yellow sticker on the screen with the necessary data. Okay, this is we use it in the real computer, but with no major function of the menu. Okay, it's not retrieving any data. Okay, it just like you can only okay enter some of the basic information. Okay, and then we have the functional prototype. This one is quite advanced compared with the screen prototype. Okay, it is similar to a screen prototype, but many buttons. Okay, menu item, and then some of the prototype in functional prototype, you can use the button. Okay, you can look into the tab of the service. For example, in this one, you can use this service, and then there will be some information in here. Okay, and then maybe you can clear the name. Okay, and then maybe you can go to the different tab. Okay, they may open and close windows, update data, okay, on a related screen, and then bring data forth from a real database. Okay, so this is quite a functional prototype. Okay, better than the screen prototype. So what you need to know, okay, regarding to the prototype, okay, technical issue. Okay, seek to explore the technical constraints of a complex design features. Okay, video in the app. Okay, usually we will see the compression. Okay, and then from the compression, you will see what is the quality of the video. Okay, and what hardware are needed. Okay, to watch for the 4K video, for example, or maybe you want to watch 1080 resolution video. So what hardware might be you need to support for the video. Okay, and then we need to see the workflow, the task design, and then we need to see the screen layout and information display. The screen layout usually will go for the mobile phone. Okay, either okay, for our apps is supported for mobile phone software or not. Okay, if not, okay, later you when you open the website, okay, in your laptop, okay, it should follow the laptop screen resolution. Okay, but if your website is not following the flexibility of the screen resolution, okay, when you open that same website in your smartphone. Okay, if the website is to follow the protocol, okay, to setting the image or setting the website into a website in smartphone, okay, you will see that it have a different, okay, it have the different image interface resolution, okay, when you open the website in your laptop or when you open it in your smartphone. Okay, maybe the icon, okay, quite larger, okay, maybe quite small when you use in the smartphone. Okay, how big the icon should be. Okay, this one is actually you can set the protocol. Okay, either your website can follow the protocol of the smartphone, okay, to be viewed in smartphone, or it can only follow the protocol of viewing in laptop or desktop screen. Okay, so it's actually depend with our setting. And then we have in prototype, we have the low fidelity prototype. So what is low fidelity prototype? Okay, low fee. Okay, low fidelity prototype often paper based. They range from a series of hand-drawn mock-up to print out. It does not look very much like the final product because it's always on the paper, so you cannot imagine. Okay, because it's through 2D. Okay, and then maybe it's quite hard if the product is actually for apps for software. Okay, uses material that are very different from the intended final version. Okay, because maybe they always used to use the paper, use the cardboard. Okay, cheap and easy to modify. Okay, use during early stage of development. Okay, in theory, low fidelity sketch are quicker to create because it's only involve paper. You just draw, sketch in your paper, and then you can give the idea to the development team, for example. Okay, for brainstorming, for example. Okay, low fidelity prototypes are helpful, okay, in enabling early visualization of alternative design solution. Okay, why we still use the low fidelity prototype? Because sometimes this stage is actually still in your, the idea is still on your mind. Okay, maybe you have not only one solution or maybe two solution. Okay, and then when we bring your idea into the meeting, for example, for brainstorming, and then maybe there will be a different design solution from different people. So if this one is on the high fidelity, so it's quite hard for to do the changes. So that's why in low fidelity we use paper, and then we can easily do some changes, okay, enabling early visualization of the alternative design solution. Okay, we can adapt, we can tag, okay, we can maybe we can have the feedback from other design. Okay, so this is the picture that you all can see. This is from the low fidelity. Okay, from this area, okay, and then become to this area, and then become the third interface. Okay, you will see that actually there will be some changes. Okay, from the if you go look into the middle one. Okay, there's some changes in the menu. Okay, and then this is more example regarding to the interface. Okay, the UX design. It become a more complex, and then if you look, the last one is actually quite simple. Okay, maybe this one is after doing the brainstorming. Okay, example of a low fidelity prototypes. We have sketching, we have storyboard, we have wireframe, we have an index card, and wizard of Oz. Okay, sketching. Sketching is important to low fidelity prototype. Okay, usually it's more like the storyboard. Okay, don't be inhibited about drawing ability. Okay, usually practice simple symbol, and then please use the symbol that everyone can understand. Okay, not the symbol that you are the only one who understand for your symbol. Okay, make sure that the symbol that you are using is acceptable and can be recognized by other people. Okay, the symbol that we always do or use, okay, when try to represent about a particular item, for example. Okay, very quick and casual way to brainstorm idea. That is what I have mentioned just now. Okay, maybe for when we go for the meeting for brainstorm idea, maybe they will add some solution. Maybe they will add some design solution, so we can easily add the idea into the prototype, into the sketching. Okay, for exploring a design idea. And then we have the storyboard, originated from the film industry to critique and compare multiple design concept, work out which is the base, often used with the scenario or user interface, bringing more detail and change to role play. Okay, it is a series of sketch showing how a user might progress through a task using the device. Okay, usually we use the storyboard in the early design. Okay, and then storyboard actually it will involve I think not many uh, people. Okay, usually this one in the storyboard, there will be the writer, there will be the designer, and then sometimes they will call the main actor, for example. Okay, to see that if she or he have the idea, okay, about this topic, this content. Okay, this is in the early design process. Okay, under the storyboard. Okay, you can see that in here. Okay, the storyboard. This is from a swap and networking event. Okay, James RSVP to a UX design happy hour meetup online. He's super excited to go and meet other designer in San Francisco. Okay, James arrived at the Churchill bar at 8 p.m. by himself, not knowing anyone. Since his bar meetup, nobody has name tag and he can't even tell who is there for the meetup or who is there just hanging out on their own accord. Okay, he pulls out swap and check into the UX designer happy hour event and see there are already 26 member check in. Okay, doing a quick scan on the bar, he see another guy by himself who's okay on the list as well. Okay, James go over and introduce himself as another designer, also there for the happy hour meetup. Okay, the two of them swap actual physical bomb not necessary into final prototype. Okay, they find out they both love Taylor Swift and sushi. Okay, friendship and business partnership follow. Okay, this is the event is actually we can go for storyboard. Okay, from the sketch from the first stage until the last story in here. Okay, where both of them actually looking for Taylor Swift and sushi. Okay, for the cost UX design. Okay, that one example of storyboard. Okay, and then we can use also the storyboard in similar like this one. There are a lot of the way that we can present the storyboard, guys. Okay, this is a few example. Okay, this is the few example. Okay, and then we have the wireframes. Once initial design is set, we move towards more detail. Okay, to design for a layout and navigation. Okay, usually we will have the screen design and also the layout. Okay, provide general look and feel, behavior and workflow. Okay, drawing is usually simple. Okay, we can have the rectangular object, or maybe we can have a simple outline, and then maybe sometimes we can give some annotation. Okay, sequence of a wireframe show the workflow. Okay, this one. Okay, from A to B, B to C, C to D. Usually it will go with the flow. Okay, wireframe is usually go with the workflow. Then we have the cut-based prototyping. Okay, usually this is from the index cut. Okay, the size is 3 times 5 inch. Each cut represents one screen or part of the screen, often used in the website development. Okay, because in the website development, we will go from one tab to another tab or from one content to another content. Okay, so if we directly to create the website, okay, usually before we create the final website, okay, in under the prototype stage, okay, usually we will go for the cut base. Every cut, okay, every index cut, okay, represent one content. Okay, for example, main HTML, okay, means your main page, and then we have the home, for example, home page, and then we have the contact uh, tab, for example, or maybe contact tab, okay, tab, and maybe the sub website, okay, under the cut-based prototyping. Okay, this is the example. Okay, travel organizer, welcome Helen, and then the another cut is showing the train timetable. Okay, and then this is another example. Okay, and then we have the last one, the Wizard of Oz prototype. Okay, a human-operated mirage to simulate the interface to the user. This approach is much faster, cheaper, and more iterative, while also being more real than paper prototypes. Okay, this one actually it simulate to the interface to the user. Okay, and then this one, the high fidelity prototype, I will continue after I think we take around 10-minute break. Okay, we go for 10-minute break. I think I left around 10 more slide, and then maybe the last 30 minutes we go for the to discuss the topic of the practical on Friday. Okay, because it's only left with 10 slide after this. Okay, so we take 10-minute break. Right, so we will continue again with the prototype. So this time we will look into the high fidelity prototype. Okay, the high fidelity prototyping as close as possible to a true representation of the user interface. Okay, it's close to the final product. Okay, looks more like the final system. Okay, the appearance, okay, maybe the design, okay, but not the functionality. Okay, even though that we can, maybe the system can give us some flexibility, okay, like putting maybe to enter our name, okay, but for the calculation maybe it's not yet fully functional. Okay, high fidelity prototypes assume to be much more effective in collecting a true human performance data. Okay, like what I have mentioned, maybe there is a time to complete a task. Okay, maybe we do some trial error to the interface to the apps. Okay, maybe we can set so every user, okay, when they're using the trial product or the trial application, okay, they must submit their answer or the feedback, okay, around 10 minutes. So the function of the timing, okay, it will be there, the timer. Okay, usually the common development environment that use the high fidelity is like Adobe XD. Okay, when we use Visual Basic, okay, there's a thing that we can set, okay, under the setting, okay, to make to set the timing. Okay, for Photoshop, okay, for the apps application development, okay, usually Xcode Swift, this is for iPhone and iPad, and for the SDK, okay, software development kits, okay, and then also for the web development tools. Okay, this is the example. Okay, maybe in our apps. Okay, maybe in the phone, in the early version of the apps. Okay, they can only have some point of something that you can add list, for example, and then maybe you can look for the product. Okay, you can look for the list. Okay, and then maybe the list is not. We don't have the full database yet, so maybe it can display around five lists or maybe some result. Okay, five result for example. And then so this is the better comparison in the table. We have the low fidelity and high fidelity. Okay, advantages of low fidelity: less time and lower cost. Evaluate multiple design concept, useful communication device, and address screen layout issue. Okay, I have given example before this. And disadvantages of the low fidelity: limited usefulness for usability tests because we cannot have the uh, uh, I'm not saying that full functional of the operating system, but we cannot reach actually in the low fidelity 50% of the function of the software or the apps. Okay, navigational and flow limitation because most of the low fidelity uh, apps or maybe the sketch, okay, it's still under the paper. Okay, and then facilitator driven, usually we need the designer or maybe the developer, okay, to guide the user, okay, to use for the prototype. Okay, and then poor detail specification because it's only draw, it's only sketch, it's only putting the basic information only. Okay, for the high fidelity, advantages: partial complete functionality. Okay, they have the function maybe to close the program or maybe to add some basic information into the program. And then it's quite interactive where we can have the button for next, or maybe you can look for some of the information, even though maybe it just give around five result. Okay, user driven. Okay, usually this one you can just use the software You don't need the developer or the designer to be with you, okay, to teach on how to use the prototype. Clearly defined navigational. You can use the back button, the forward button, for example, used for exploration and a test. And then usually we can use it as a marketing and sales tool. Okay, the prototype, because it's almost go for the final product, so that we can use it as a marketing tools or sales tool. Okay, we can explain to the customer, to the investor, for example. Okay, this is near to the final product. Okay, and then disadvantages of the high fidelity, because yes, the first one, time consuming to create. Okay, the low fidelity, we just use the paper, and then maybe you can finish that one around 1 to 5 days, for example. Okay, on the high fidelity, you need to put the code, for example, and then you need to make sure that the coding is run properly, and then we can show it to the investor, to the customer, to the early customer, okay, to the test user, for example. Okay, inefficient for proof of concept, because it's not yet the final product. Okay, it's not yet the final product. Blind user to measure, representational flow. Okay, usually this one, everyone can use the high fidelity prototype actually, because it's already have the basic navigation. Okay, can use for the user. And then this is you can see the difference between the sketch. Usually that one is from our idea, and then just draw the idea in the paper, okay, something like that, sketch. And then you go for the low fidelity. Now the low fidelity in here, if we talk about traffic congestion, maybe this is waste application, for example. This one, you only you can have the picture of the area, okay, but you don't have the live cam, for example. Okay, and then maybe you don't have the attached picture or for that certain area, for example. Okay, that one we can include, or usually will have in the high fidelity, high fi, okay, the high fidelity. Okay, compromise. All prototype actually involve compromise. Okay, two common types of compromise. Okay, the horizontal one provide a wide range of function, but with little detail. Okay, if we look from this picture, okay, most of the prototype is actually they don't have subject details, or maybe they don't have the explanation of each of the button, for example. Okay, and then for vertical, provide a lot of detail for only a few function. Okay, maybe the details, okay, the details only into the button of confirm, for example, or maybe the details is only on the picture. So this is about the vertical compromise. And then we have tools for prototyping. Okay, this one you can go to figma.com. Okay, that one you can have to see. Okay, you can have a try to look for the trial version. Okay, let's see if we can go to this website. Let me see. Let me type first. You can go that one from your side. Let me see the Figma first. Okay, so let me share with you all. Okay, this is the Figma website, where in the Figma website, okay, Figma connect everyone in the design process so teams can deliver better product and more faster. Okay, where this one is actually a place that we can do the sketch, we can do the prototype. Okay, before we launch to the public. Okay, maybe you can use this one. Okay, this website. Okay, for you. Okay, because in Sigma, okay, the Figma, okay, you can use it as a storyboard. Okay, to have or to maybe to explore more solution to your design. Okay, this is one example of the website. Okay, and then we have, okay, we also have the besides Figma, okay, we also have the balsamic.com. Okay, that one, if you have the time, please go to this website. It's also same like the Figma, but they give you the option to choose from a variety of prototype that you want to develop. Okay, for example, maybe you want to develop from desktop apps, or maybe you want to develop some kind of mobile apps. Okay, website, dialog windows, okay, tablet apps. Okay, you can have a try from this website. Okay, balsamic.com. And then we also have the pencil.overuse.vn. This is open source, though you can use it freeware. And then this one, but the pencil that overloos that one is actually quite limited the function. Okay, because this one is free, and then it's more using the flow and design. Okay, the early design. Okay, you can look, this one is actually like mind mapping actually. And then we also have the Marvel app. Okay, the Marvel app. Okay, and then we have the UI stencil.com. Okay, kits for paper prototyping. Okay, this is the real one. They will send you if you want to have the paper prototyping. Okay, they will give you this one. Okay, they will send to you so that you can show it to your customer or maybe your investor. And then the last one, this is sketching and paper prototyping. A simple video actually is around, I think, 8 minutes. So we watch this one first. It's around 7 minutes. You all didn't hear the voice,
Yeah, no audio.
the sound.
No, just very soft.
Okay, okay.
Not
Let
soft.
me open in the new a tab. Okay, let me open in the new tab.
What is a prototype? The way I think about it, a prototype is an experimental
Can you
model of
hear
an
already?
idea. It's a way to give our ideas a presence
Yes.
that we can put in front of somebody else to see if our idea has value. As a design researcher here at Google, I put ideas in front of people who use our products all the time. Is your idea ready to be put in front of people? Yes. In fact, in this video series, we'll share with you several types of prototyping methods that you can use to get your ideas in front of people as soon as possible. Now, how will you know when it's right to show your idea to someone else? The fidelity of your prototype should match the fidelity of your thinking. So don't be afraid to share your prototypes early and often to get feedback to guide your next product design decision. So we put together a series of 3 videos to introduce you to various techniques we use at Google. There's sketching and paper prototyping, digital prototyping with form and principle, and native prototyping. So to get things started, let's take a look at how teams at Google take an idea in their head and make the first stroke of the pen on paper.
Hi, my name is Melissa Powell, and I'm on Google's Developer Relations team. I get to work with designers, developers, and entrepreneurs both inside and outside of Google to solve some pretty tough design challenges.
And I'm Miriam Sheikh, a senior user experience designer at Google. I design ad experiences to make them better and simpler to use for products such as Google Search, AdWords, and DoubleClick. And we're here to talk to you about sketching and paper prototyping. I often work in digital prototyping and graphic design tools to create high-fidelity mocks like these. But even at a high-tech company like Google, we generally start the design process with something that looks a lot more like this. By the end of the video, you should feel confident knowing when to use sketching and paper prototyping, 4 types of sketches we commonly use at Google, and 3 primary benefits of paper prototyping. Sketching is a fundamental part of the design process and can help you make key decisions about what to design. It can be as simple as drawing on a piece of paper or even a Post-it note. Or you can use any of these common materials to create a more realistic sketch and share your sketch with others. Sketching can be used in nearly any stage in the product design process. You can use different types of sketches depending on who you're working with and what you need to communicate. Sketching is great when thinking through all of the initial ideas running through your head. You can sketch to outline the steps in a user flow, explore a variety of layouts, and to show the basic app structure, or what we commonly call a wireframe. Once you've agreed on the rough layout, we usually create higher fidelity sketches with details such as buttons, images, and color. At this point, you may decide to transfer your sketches to your digital tools, but the more you can flesh out your ideas on paper, the faster you'll move on your computer. During mid-development and even post-launch, you may need to rethink your design and want to quickly visualize new ideas. So you might bust out a pen and paper even if you already have high-fidelity digital prototypes. It can be faster to communicate and validate your new ideas through sketches before you have to make those changes to your digital prototype.
In addition to sketching, another low-fidelity option is paper prototyping. Today I'll cover how paper prototyping can help you think through key user interactions, use color more purposefully, and visualize elevation and shadows. And let me give you some practical paper prototyping pro tips. As you can see with the sketch that Miriam created, it's easy to visualize the user flow, but it's a little bit more difficult to understand the user interactions between the screens. You can use your paper prototype to simulate interactions. For example, if we look over here, I've pre-created some paper prototypes, and we can explore what happens when I click on an individual button. Here we have the floating action button, or the quantity, and we can actually have it drop down. And see what happens when a new screen appears and we're looking at the checkout cart. We can also select the address and a pop-up window will appear. To avoid carrying around your paper prototype from meeting to meeting, record these interactions with your phone. Or you can create an animated GIF by taking a few stills and throwing it into Google Photos' Auto Awesome feature. It's just easier to share your ideas with people that way. Another pro tip is to print out existing screens. Instead of redrawing all the common elements over and over, the goal here isn't to test your arts and crafts skills, but to explore the interactions and natural transitions between the screens. And since we're working with paper, you can also explore different principles of material design, such as color, elevation, and shadows. Material design is Google's visual design language that synthesizes classic principles of good design with the innovation and possibility of technology. And at the end of the day, it was inspired by the study of paper and ink. So why not get back to basics using paper and ink? A good place to start is to think through purposeful and consistent use of colors. The material design spec has a lot of great information about selecting hues and saturations, so be sure to explore the full material design color palette at the link in the description below. And be purposeful with your use of color, not just on one screen, but throughout the app. In general, we recommend choosing one primary color, which is most commonly used for components such as the app bar or background, and one or perhaps two accent colors for anything that you want to grab the user's attention, such as the fab, or to indicate that a tab has been selected. Paper prototyping can help you think through your purposeful use of color because as a practical paper prototyping pro, you'll want to reuse the colors throughout the app. Not only is that easier, but when this translates to your final product, it will reduce visual noise for the user, making navigation much easier. And because we're working with physical materials, be sure to make note of how the layers form shadows. Of course, we have the x-axis and the y-axis. With material design, we're encouraged to consider and make use of the z-axis, an elevation of each sheet. You can read more about elevation and shadows in the material design spec, linked in the description below.
As you saw, you can use different types of sketching throughout the product design cycle to help you visualize and communicate your ideas in a lightweight fashion with user flows, rapid sketches of many layout options, wireframes, and detailed sketches with images and text.
And paper prototyping is one technique that can help you think through key user interactions and explore material design principles, such as purposeful use of color, elevation, and shadows.
Now that you've visualized your ideas on paper, you can shop them around with your teammates or users to validate your assumptions and make smarter design decisions. You can translate your sketches into higher fidelity digital mocks to build a robust prototype. To learn about making a digital prototype, check out the next video in this series.
So, all right, that one is the example of the prototype explanation. Let me see if there is another one. I think let me show with you all. Okay, this one. I want to have a simple conclusion on the prototyping actually. So what is why prototyping is important? Okay, from here, okay, hopefully you all can see from the diagram. Okay, one of the most powerful aspect of prototyping is that when done well, it's actually crack the empathy of the customer, the empathy for the customer. Okay, in this respect, designing software is no different than designing other product or structure that human will use or inhabit. Okay, so in a different story or in a different way that we can interpret the prototyping is actually the way that we want to persuade the customer, okay, so that they will go for our product. Okay, for example, okay, it is easy for an architect to get caught up in the grandeur of a building, okay, imposing a tower, floor to ceiling, windows that shine like a jewel, or unusual layout of rooms and a corridor that show off the designer personality. Okay, but without empathy for the people who need to live or work in that building, okay, that grand design can lead to poor environmental design. Okay, leaving people shivering in one location with others sweating just a few yards away. And those shiny windows may bring in so much sunlight that worker can't see their computer screen. Okay, in the same way, designing software without understanding and empathizing with the customer needs can result in unnecessary features, confusing workflow, unreadable screen text, and many other problems. Okay, customer empathy is what helps designer actually, okay, to make sure that the final product It's not only beautiful, okay, on the outside, but we want the product, okay, to be fully functional, okay, and the user, okay, the customer can enjoy, okay, with the product, okay, either from outside or from the inside. Okay, to sum up the main advantages of creating the prototypes actually, okay, it will save our time and money. Okay, we can show and test the concept to the target user, maybe to our stakeholder, maybe to our investor. Okay, it is a useful reference for the developer, for our developer, and then it can serve as a documentation for our project. And maybe the project will start in 2023. So with the prototype, okay, we can have the idea, okay, and then the developer maybe have some kind of a solution, okay, to maybe to speed up the process, for example. Okay, you can get a chance to work together, okay, with your time, with your team on a tangible artifact, okay, which will lead, okay, to generating a better idea for the development. Okay, so I think that's all about the our chapter 7 today, prototype. Quite easy. Okay, the prototype. Okay, because the prototype is actually when you see a lot of product in the market, or maybe when you use some kind of technology, or maybe you use some kind of apps in your smartphone, it's actually, okay, origin from the prototype. Okay, you can imagine, okay, if you have your smartphone, okay, how is actually the designer thinking on the way that the apps will look, okay, will look into the our screen, okay, how to interact or how to attract the user attention is actually from the design, okay, the process when we are developing the product. Okay, and the process of developing the product include the prototyping. So I think that's all for the topic, okay, for the chapter 7. Any question from your side? Any question?
No.
No question.
All right, so we have around 15 more minutes. I will go for the our practical this Friday. Our topic practical for this Friday. Tutorial itu no problem. So let's look into the. Let me share with you all the. Let me see. Form B. Okay, this one. Right. In week 10, okay, we have done with the chapter 7. Tutorial should be okay, no problem for that one. We will go for that one by tomorrow. For the practical one, okay, heuristic evaluation and usability testing. Can I have feedback from you all? Do you have any idea about this topic, heuristic evaluation and usability testing?
Um,
Got any idea?
a bit.
Not sure.
Okay. Noel?
Is it like using the Likert scale?
Okay. Similar to that one. Kelvin?
That's all.
Okay. So this one, I will share you all because actually we need to do the heuristic evaluation and usability testing on this Friday, and actually you need to have some kind of report. That one I will try to explain in this section. Let me share one slide. I will give the link to you all later because I don't want that when we go for the practical and then we are still in the darkness actually. So let me go for the website. Okay, let me share with you all the letter. I will share with you all the link. Okay, so for you to have the idea what is the usability testing and also the heuristic evaluation that we will do in the practical on Friday. Okay, what is usability testing actually? Okay, generally speaking, usability testing comes in two types, moderated and unmoderated. Okay, moderated sessions are guided by a researcher or a designer, while the unmoderated ones rely on user on an assisted effort. Okay, so moderated tests are excellent choice if you want to observe user interact with prototypes in real time. This approach is more goal-oriented. It lets you confirm or disconfirm existing hypotheses with more confidence. And then for the unmoderated, okay, this is convenient when working with a substantial pool of subject. Okay, a large number of participants allow you to identify a broader spectrum of issue and points of view. Okay, however, it is important to underline that testing isn't it the black and white. It's best to look at this participant as a spectrum between moderated and unmoderated testing. Okay, I really want you all, okay, Noel, Farah, and Kelvin, okay, if you can, okay, please go look into what is usability testing. Okay, look into this one first. Okay, because there's another one I share with you all. The second one is the heuristic evaluation. Okay, heuristic evaluation is a thorough assessment of product user interface, and its purpose is to detect usability issue that may occur when user interact with the product and identify where to resolve them. Okay, actually, we will do some kind of heuristic evaluation by tomorrow. Okay, by tomorrow, after, in the last minute of the, I think 10 minutes before we finish the tutorial, I will give you the topic on what you will do in the heuristic evaluation and also for the usability testing. So at this stage, I really need you all to have, okay, a research first on what is actually, okay, from your side, okay, the heuristic evaluation and also the usability testing, because these two is actually will reflect with your assignment. Okay, it will reflect with your assignment. So I really hope that you all can do some research, okay, regarding the heuristic evaluation. Okay, I will give the topic by tomorrow after the tutorial session, so that we can do something in the practical session, because this one is actually a practical for you to implement the heuristic evaluation, okay, and then also the usability testing. There is a video there that you can watch later, okay, and then so that you can have idea about the heuristic evaluation and usability testing. Quite easy, because this is actually related with our chapter 7, the prototype. Okay, we will do evaluation actually, okay, to the product. Okay, what happened to the design, okay, what happened to this to the sketch, okay, how to improve the sketch, okay, how to improve the maybe the content of the prototype. Okay, this is actually the heuristic evaluation. It's the process to evaluate the prototype. Okay, and so let me see if we can watch this one. I think this one will take around 12 minutes. Okay, so we watch this one first.
What it is, how you do it, and how it can help you solve 90% of your usability problems. Without further ado, let's get Get started. So,
Hold on, guys,
heuristic evaluation. Let's unpack the meaning of each word. In a nutshell, a heuristic is a
I
fancy
share
word
with
for a
you
rule of
all
thumb.
in
And
the
heuristics help us create mental shortcuts that help us solve
tab
problems.
so that it can you all can
Example of
hear
a heuristic would be assuming that it's
clearly.
going to rain soon when you see dark clouds approaching. Not many of us are meteorologists or have a sound understanding of how weather works, but we don't have to.
Hey folks, Dimo from Autumn Fart Studio
Okay,
here,
10
and
minutes,
today we're
guys.
going to be talking about heuristic evaluation. What it is, how you do it, and how it can help you solve 90% of your usability problems. Without further ado, let's get started. So, heuristic evaluation. Let's unpack the meaning of each word. In a nutshell, a heuristic is a fancy word for a rule of thumb. And heuristics help us create mental shortcuts that help us solve problems quickly and efficiently. An example of a heuristic would be assuming that it's going to rain soon when you see dark clouds approaching. Not many of us are meteorologists or have a sound understanding of how weather works, but we don't have to. It is still a fairly reasonable assumption to make. From an evolutionary standpoint, these shortcuts help us navigate the world with less friction, which increases our chances of survival as a species. Now, what does this have to do with user experience design, you may ask? Well, the same principles apply to designing digital products. Let me explain. UX is a discipline that hasn't been around for very long, since its subject matter, which is human-machine interaction, is fairly recent. The term UX itself was only coined in 1993 by Don Norman. And although UX is a relatively young field of study, researchers have already developed a series of heuristics, rules of thumb if you will, that help you determine whether your design is good. Even without conducting thorough user research, you can reasonably assume that your design is faulty if it breaks some of these principles. And checking your design against these heuristics is what we call heuristic evaluation. And what exactly are these heuristics? I'm glad you asked. There are a few sets of UI UX design heuristics out there, just to name a few. So there's Ben Schneiderman's 8 Golden Rules of UI Design, there's Jill Gardhart Powell's 10 Cognitive Engineering Principles, there's Alan Cooper's About Phase 2.0, The Essentials of Interaction Design. However, the set of heuristics that is the most common is Jacob Nielsen's 10 design heuristics. Let's go through all of these. So the first heuristic is visibility of system status, which means that users should know the system status at all times and get feedback on interactions with it. An example of that would be writing an email, hitting send, and then nothing happens. The email was actually sent, but the system didn't communicate that to you. Now, how should you know if everything went well if there's no feedback? Such an email client would suck. The second heuristic is the match between system and the real world. It means that the system should resemble the experiences that users already had. An example is, do you ever notice how things like icons or button shapes are based on their real-world counterparts? That's because systems should be built on top of what users already know, rather than start from a blank page. The card icons looks like a card. The search icon looks like a magnifying glass. The download button looks like a floppy disk, etc. The third heuristic is user control and freedom. It means that users should be able to reverse their action if they make a mistake. And do you know how sometimes we accidentally delete the document we've been working on for days? Because I certainly do. Well, usually Control Z or going back to the bin always comes to the rescue, but we can only imagine the horrors of a world without the undo button. The fourth heuristic is consistency and standard, which means that similar system elements should look similarly. Now imagine if an app with 4 instances of search had different icons for it. That's no fun for all the parties involved. The heuristic number 5 is error prevention. Mistakes are inevitable, but it's the job of a designer to minimize the number of them. Heuristic number 6 is recognition rather than recall, which means that users should be able to interact with the system without prior information or context. Do you remember what you had for breakfast yesterday? Well, neither do I. For the very same reason, we can't be bothered to memorize every single button or action. Users have to be able to recognize patterns with little to no prior preparation. The heuristic number 7 is flexibility and efficiency of use. Both new and experienced users should be able to efficiently use the system. And you've likely walked or driven from home to work thousands of times. You can do it even with your eyes closed and take the shortest route in the meantime. That doesn't mean, however, that there's no need for direction signs for those who are new to the neighborhood. A good interface should appeal to both of these user types. Heuristic number 8 is static and minimalistic design. It means that you should declutter as much as possible, because less is more. Heuristic number 9 is helping users to recognize, diagnose, and recover from mistakes. It pretty much means that you should make error messages understandable and suggest ways to fix an error. So imagine your English teacher, instead of underlining and correcting mistakes in your essay, writing something like error 325, pronoun misuse under it. That wouldn't be very useful. It's a fictional situation, of course, but that's what a lot of products do. They display highly technical error codes instead of just telling you plainly what's wrong and how to fix it. And finally, the 10th heuristic is help and documentation. So if a user has a hard time interacting with your app, make sure there's help that's easily accessible. No matter how great your UX is, some people will still be confused. And that's not because the UX is bad or the person is stupid, but because people are people and they get confused and make mistakes. What you should do is offer help when necessary through either a guide, manual, live customer support, etc. Now that we have an idea of what Nielsen's heuristics are, let's go over why you should care in the first place. So take a look at the graph on your right. So according to the Nielsen-Norman Group, the world's leading UX research authority, appointing 5 to 8 heuristic evaluators should identify over 80% of usability problems, which gets you in the sweet spot of identifying the most issues with the least effort. So right at about 11 experts, the identified problems start to plateau, so there's no reason to hire more people. And yes, you do need multiple design experts. More on that later. And hopefully I don't need to tell you that poor usability is synonymous with poor conversion, retention, adoption, and ultimately revenue. I hope I managed to convince you that heuristic evaluation is pretty valuable, or at least gave you some food for thought. And now, let's go through the 7 steps you should complete. Step number 1 is to outline the scope of your evaluation. For example, that could be either mobile version, the new invoice creation flow, the legacy onboarding design, whatever. Step number 2 is to start looking for experts. Again, you need 5 to 8 experts, so if you don't have them in-house, consider looking for them on platforms like Upwork or TopTal if you're looking for a freelancer, or go to Clutch or Good Firms if you're in search for an agency. Step number 3 is to aggregate everything you know about your users to get the evaluators up to speed with your user intelligence. Make sure you document all you know about your users, how and why they use your product, etc. Step number 4 is to set up an evaluation system. For example, you can categorize the issues as critical, severe, minor. You can also assign things like ease of fixing or impact, etc. Whatever category suits your needs will work. Step number 5 is to analyze and summarize the findings in a document, while step number 6 is to prioritize the issues that are most severe and easiest to fix first. And then you just fix them. And by the way, don't worry about memorizing all of this. We have a template for heuristic evaluation, and you can access it with the link in the YouTube video description. Now that we went through the heuristics and evaluation process, let's take a quick look at the heuristic evaluation report example. Note that it's not a universal report template. We use this particular format because we found it the most informative and efficient. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's take a look at my screen. Here you can see a snippet of a heuristic evaluation we've done for one of our clients. As you can see, this review is structured based on heuristics. And right here, you can see a checklist we've prepared for ourselves to help make our reviews more consistent. This larger part right here is our working area. We use it for our own convenience and generally do not present it to the customer. In this working area, based on these criteria and heuristics, we would go through the whole app or just a certain module and look for any usability issues. We then document these issues here. As I mentioned before, we'd have at least 5 of our designers take a look at the product to make sure we spot at least 80% to 90% of the usability issues. Once we're done with documenting and prioritizing the issues, we then move on to presenting them. Here you can see a bit of the intro screen. It helps give our clients context, explain the methodology and the value of the document. And there, we would outline these issues and their severity in a way that's understandable and easy to read. That way you can focus on fixing the most pressing usability problems first, to see the impact on your metrics as soon as possible. And finally, we would have a summary table with the number of the issues, their severity, and the module we found them in. This helps quickly gauge which parts of the product need the most improvement and which heuristic requires the most work. And that's it. This is the bulk of what you would see in a heuristic evaluation report. The next step from here is planning the design improvements based on usability and business priorities, implementation capacity, etc. So we've talked a lot about heuristic evaluation, but I thought it would make sense for us to go through pros and cons as well. So the first pro is that heuristic evaluation is quick and cost effective. You can use the internal resources you already have in place to administer an evaluation. The pro number two is that it's also flexible. You can conduct a testing session at any stage of the design process. You can evaluate wireframes, prototypes, live products, or all of the above. The pro number three is that heuristic evaluation is exhaustive. It enables you to comprehensively scan your product's current UX design. Pro number four is being able to rank the severity of the issues. You can organize usability issues into categories and solve them in accordance with their severity. Finally, there's also compatibility. You can combine multiple usability testing methods at the same time. Pretty neat, right? Now that we went through the pros, let's discuss the cons as well. The first con that you might come across is a shortage of usability experts. Finding an experienced usability evaluator can sometimes be a challenge depending on the niche of the product being tested. To make matters worse, you need to find 5 to 8 experts. What you might also struggle with is the lack of experience among the evaluators. Onboarding newbie evaluators may influence the value of the usability issues identified. This means that you need to invest time to quickly get the evaluators up to speed. The third con is something referred to as false positives. Issues that are flagged based on heuristics may not necessarily cause a negative user experience in practice. Heuristics work most of the time, but not all the time. Remember the example I had with the dark clouds that indicate rain? Well, dark clouds may disperse or get pushed elsewhere by the wind. Just like the clouds, the problems identified by heuristic evaluation may turn out not to be problems after all in the eyes of your users. Now that we went through all of the major aspects of heuristic evaluation, let's go through everything again to consolidate the information we've just learned. A heuristic is an educated guess, a shortcut an experienced professional can take to accurately predict certain outcomes. Professionals in UX are able to evaluate a product based on these shortcuts. This process is commonly referred to as heuristic evaluation. A set of 10 heuristics that are used most commonly is known as Nielsen's 10 usability heuristics. These 10 heuristics are usually what UX professionals compare the products against to conduct an evaluation. To make the most out of the experts' opinions, you need at least 5 professionals. You can either talk to your in-house design team or hire external help. Having 5 to 8 evaluators will help you spot at least 80% of the usability issues. The heuristic evaluation session usually entails outlining the scope of the evaluation, looking for experts, transferring the knowledge you already have to the professionals, then setting up an evaluation system, the evaluation itself, and then summarizing and analyzing the findings. Then you prioritize them and finally fix these issues. That brings us to the end of this video, so thank you a ton for sticking till the very end. You can find this information in written form on our blog by following the link in the description. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. There are more videos to come.
Alright guys, before we dismiss our lecture today, can I have you all to turn on the video for a while? Okay. Right, so tomorrow we go for the tutorial, and then that tutorial, maybe we can discuss a little bit question regarding to the practical letter. Okay, so once again, please do a research about the heuristic evaluation and also the usability testing. Okay, have go and find some idea about these two. Okay, usability testing and heuristic evaluation. Right, thank you guys for your attendance today, and then we will meet again by tomorrow and Friday. Thank you guys.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.